Knife dope. More dope. Come and get your fix. What's up, fuckers? Your boy's back with a fresh batch of dope. Knife dope. That's right, people. The hits don't stop. Now, before we get to this video, I want to give you guys a quick update on this fantastic American specimen. This is the ProTech Mordax. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I had just recently had this nice set of tits added to it. Big shout out to Alfred at AR Custom Knives on IG. And, you know, after I received the knife, I was eagerly deploying it with my finger cannon, and the plunger broke. So I ended up reaching out to ProTech, who managed to send me some replacement parts. I went ahead and assembled it last night. So it is back to the pocket it goes today. Hands down, one of my favorite knives in the collection is this Mordax. But let's talk about the video today. We are going to have, this is my final video on 2023 Best Of series. And we've got a couple of different topics, but number one, we're going to be going over the the top 5 small pocket carry knives of 2023. And then I also got 5 best of topics that I had not managed to put together. So let's get to the dope. Okay. If you don't know, the criteria for the best of series is 2 things primarily, which is number 1, the knife has had to have been released in 2023, and it also has to be in my possession. And so the first category we're going to be taking a look at is going to be the best button lock of the year. Now, unfortunately, you will not be seeing this knife on there, and that is because this was not released this year. But nonetheless, it deserves its shine. So let's get to the best button lock of 2023 for me. Also a Ferrum Forge design, and this is the Ferrum Forge Stinger. Now, the Stinger itself was not released in this 2023. However, this button lock version was. These are OEM by We. And besides ProTech, I would venture to say that We is currently manufacturing the best button locks in the game, hands down. And this is evidence of that. Nitro V blade steel, beautiful drop point blade, slabs of titanium. That flipper is just dialed the fuck in. Button lock is super solid, locking up tighter than frog's ass. As you can see, no problems with the spine whack. This is a great knife. Not enough people talked about it this year. So hopefully I can learn y'all that this is a winner. And that is my button lock pick for 2023. Now we're getting into the fidget knife of the year. And I had a couple of options for this one, but in the grand scheme of things, I went this route. This is the Riot XOM. This one is the mini. You know, I had both the regular standard XOM, and then I went ahead and I got this at Blade Show this year. And it's just so enjoyable, you know. Granted, my wife gets aggravated, and understandably so, as well as everybody else when they hear me, you know, deploying and fucking around with this, but it's so goddamn fun, you know. This is actually, I believe, the first time any maker has decided to put a lock on a gravity knife. That was a game changer for Riot. So much so that they started giving us multiple versions. This is the mini, like I mentioned. Wonderful, wonderful knife. Absolutely loving it. We've got 3V for your blade steel, micarta inlays, titanium build. This is the way to go for me, and this was my fidget knife of 2023. Next up is the flipper of the year, and I couldn't help but put this one in that position. This is the Chavez Redención 229, baby, with that Lee Williams kickstop apparatus. Now, the 229 is also a knife that technically was not released this year. However, this version with the flipper, or rather with the kickstop was, and it is my pick for flipper of the year. You know, the kickstop, I don't really know how to give you a Reader's Digest version of it, but essentially we've got a free floating flipper tab that is not part of the blade. It's free floating, and because of that setup, it gives you phenomenal leverage and phenomenal action. This one also came in, I think, about $400. It wasn't cheap, but we've got M390 steel, compound grind. We've got this nice hollow here on the main portion, flat at the tip. Love everything Chavez has been doing. This was my second Chavez that I had ever purchased, and loved it so much that I ended up having some tits installed on it. This is my flipper knife of the year, the Chavez 229. Next category for me was going to be the locking mechanism of the year. And, you know, there were a couple of options, a couple of ways I could have went. But in the grand scheme of things, I felt that this was the best one. This is the Artist, formerly known as the Mayhem. Mayhem forever, forever Mayhem. This is the Vosteed RS Chaos. Now, you know, I may get a little bit of pushback on me choosing this as my you know, locking mechanism of the year. But this was actually the first time a company outside of Spyderco went ahead and gave us a compression lock. Now, they went ahead and actually made this a compression lock that is actuated by a button. So very, very basically identical to what we found on the Smock. Now, because of legality issues, Vosteed cannot call this a compression lock. They call it a top liner lock. Great action as far as detent goes, because you do have liners in there like a liner lock. And this is actually a White Mountain Knives exclusive. We've got this beautiful LMAX blade steel and a Warncliffe apparatus, titanium handles. Love this locking mechanism. Really love the knife. Definitely no lockup issues as well. And this is my locking mechanism of the year, the Vosteed top liner lock. Okay, my last category before we get to the top 5 small pocket knives is OTF of the year. And it should come as no surprise that it's this American legend, which is the Kershaw Live Wire, baby. Live and direct. This was one of the first versions of this knife. This is the one that is in 20 CV. Currently, you can get it in a Tonto as well as in Magna Cut. But this is there's nothing wrong with this one. I absolutely love it. This came in at $240. We've got an aluminum body. We've got a nice, very great actuation due to this slide. Buttery smooth. Action's official like a ref with a whistle. She flies out, comes right back to the goddamn house. Reversible pocket clip. This, you know, I'm not the biggest auto guy, but this right here did it for me. Love it, love it, love it. Can't recommend it enough. This is the Kershaw Live Wire Auto of the Year. So now we're getting to the top 5 small pocket carry knives of 2023. Coming in hot. Number 5 on my list is this little guy. This is the CJRB Mini Pyrite. You know, this knife could also easily be a fidget knife of the year because it is fun to fuck around with. But that's not what we're here for. This is coming in, I think, at $50. We've got this nice reverse Tonto blade here in AARPM 9. That is Artisan Cutlery / CJRB's proprietary steel. Aluminum handles. Knife is deployed via your cutout. We've got a button lock for our locking mechanism. Locking up tighter than frog's ass. We've also got that nice sharpening choil, which doubles down as a finger choil, which does accommodate the full purchase. So you know I'm all about that. Number 5 on small pocket knives is the Artisan, or rather CJRB Mini Pyrite. Coming in at number 4, we got another Vosteed sighting. This is the Mini Nightshade. Now, if you haven't been following along, the Nightshade model is essentially to Vosteed what the PM2 is to Spyderco. And what I mean by that is it is a model, a flagship model for a company. And I think that fits the case, or rather, I think that is the case for Vosteed with this Nightshade. This one is the Mini. They just released this year. A couple of changes as opposed to the standard size Nightshade is they went ahead and they put a crossbar lock on it. Now, before I actually had it in hand, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the crossbar being the locking mechanism. But once I got it, I really have enjoyed it. This has got multiple settings for your spring tension. We've got 14C28N for the steel, full flat grind. Kukri cutter is the blade shape. This is such a fantastic blade shape for EDC carry. So useful. We've also got thumb studs for deployment. We've got a aluminum backspacer, deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible. Now, this comes in, I think, at about $69, I believe, maybe $59, something like that. Fantastic price on a great knife. Number 4 for me on Fit Pocket Knives. Number 3 is this guy, the Civivi Baby Banter. Now, the Baby Banter originally, back in 2022, was my first small pocket knife that I fell in love with. It's legendary at this point. I've ended up buying, I think, 3 or 4 of them, but this version right here was released this year, just a few months back. We've got the Wharncliffe for the blade shape. Same titanium thumb studs for deployment. This comes in, I think, at $65, give or take. This is a nested liner lock. Fantastic action. We've got contoured purple micarta scales. Tons of room to disengage that lock bar. Deep carry pocket clip is right or left hand tip up. But I think the main feature to this knife that makes it so enjoyable for me is the 50-50 finger choil, which does accommodate the full purchase, no refund. So you know it's automatically going to win with me. That is the Baby Banter Wharncliffe coming in at number 3. Now, these last 2 are essentially interchangeable, but this is the way I'm rolling. Number 2 for me was this one, the Devo Nip. Big shout out to the boys at Devo. They have been cooking with grease. They've had a phenomenal 2023, and they also came on last year in 2022. They dropped the Stout, which was their initial introduction to the game. But this nip, this version here comes in at about $175. This one is a White Mountain Knives exclusive. We've got S90V for the steel in this cleaver blade shape. Deep hollow grind, stonewashed finish. Also a nested liner lock with plenty of room to disengage. We've got 2 forms of deployment. We've got that nice, generous cutout. And then we've got this exquisitely done flipper. It's actually a disappearing flipper. When the knife is deployed, the flipper is no longer there. Wonderful in the hand due to that nice spot you can choke up. Milled titanium pocket clip. They even got a pig snout lanyard hole for the weirdos. This is hands down one of my favorite, if not the favorite. You might be able to put this at 1B, you know. Instead of putting it in the second place, we'll put it at 1B. That was the Nip from Devo. Number 1 on the list, we got an American one. We're looking at the Spyderco Little Native Wharncliffe apparatus. Now, similar to the Baby Banter and the Nightshade, the Little Native was not released this year. However, this version was. This is their first time doing the Wharncliffe blade on the Little Native, and it fucking makes all the difference. I shit you not. Number 1, we've got S30V steel. We know Spyderco manages to always do fantastic heat treats. Nice full flat grind. Granted, these are aftermarket scales. These are titanium scales, but it ships with G10 scales. Also utilizing Spyderco's compression lock. So you already know, solid lockup, no issues there. And of course, the infamous 50-50 finger choil, giving us that full purchase. Knife is deployed via your cutout. These came in, I believe, at $150 or $140, something like that. That is my number 1 small pocket knife of 2023. So there you fuckers have it. My top 5 small pocket knives of 2023 here for your viewing pleasure. As well as we had some other topics that we went over. You know, this year has been so fun. You know, I'm not going to shit you. We've officially made a year on YouTube here in December. I think we're about 1,230, 1,240 somewhere on the subscriber count. I've been having a blast, man. You guys have been so supportive of me, so loyal, so many of you guys. I've even had some of y'all send me knives to review, send me gifts and shit. I mean, I'm blown away by y'all's generosity and loyalty. So because of that, I think I'm going to continue to stay. I think I'm going to keep my foot in the game, man. I've got tons of new shit coming, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, your boy spent some goddamn money these last 2 days. Oh, my God. I'm actually a little bit embarrassed. No, I'm not. Fuck it. Well, I want to know what you fuckers think. Did you enjoy this list? Is there any that I missed? Tell me all about it. Love you, mean it. Until the next time. Cut something, cut someone. Just don't cut yourself. Stay dangerous, fuckers.